but I'm not going with the countdown or any of that stuff today. I just figured we'd play around and do a little bit of this. I really just wanted to see if I could do this, and I can. Cool. So I got the DAW out, and I've got to make a song for a client. So I thought maybe you guys would want to sit in the studio with me and see what a little bit of my process is. So this is a YouTube client, and they're looking for energetic music. And I broke some of the drums out. And I got it kind of chilling on a decent. Yeah, I'm kind of not too mad at that. So I'm going to let that roll in there. We'll lay some guitar tracks in. We'll double them up, do some bass on it, and we'll see just with guitar and drums and bass. Let's see how big we can make this. I'm just lining in through my Hughes and Kettner, and I'm lining the bass in. So there's no amps, there's nothing, there's no real speakers going on here. I really just got the headphones on because I got the microphone to talk to you guys. Otherwise, it feeds back in the room. Normally, I don't even record with headphones. So I'm just going to let this drum thing kind of chill. And I will move myself down here. Let's do this. Nope, not that. Let's do that. That way you guys can kind of see what I got going on. I tried to push everything onto one screen, so when I'm over here dicking around with a slider or something, you guys can at least see the feedback of what's going on. So let's get our guitar tracks. Bring them up here. Up here where we can work on them. Right there. Okay. I got two loaded up, and they're already set to the channel that I like to use to record guitar on. And here's what our drum track sounds like. So it's kind of metal sounding, but I've got it set on a country kit, believe it or not. I like to start out with this one. This is the Groove Agent Nashville kit. I just find it to be really neutral and not get in the way of a lot of what I got going on, and then I can swap out other drum kits and see what I like. So I'm in drop D for the first time in like a long time. It just sounds mean. It's going to sound really, really dry coming through your end. There's no reverb, there's no effects on that whatsoever. And that's the best way to record with nothing going on. So, let's run this track a little bit and see what I can make. Alright, I feel fairly confident that I can double that and play it right on top of one another. So before we even take a listen, let's go right down and lay another one while it's fresh in my brain and can kind of double the same thing. All right, let's give it a listen to how that sounds. Nice. We got a good loop going. Let's lay a bass track on that. Bass isn't going to record if I don't turn it on. Set off over there. Oh, now I can actually hear it. Mulligan. Let's listen to that. I've got both guitars going to the same group, so I can turn that group up and down, and it's going to turn both guitars up and down. What I'd like to do to get a general mix going is drop the guitars all the way out and see if we can make the bass and the drums sound good on their own. Bring the guitar player in just a little bit. Nice. Shouldn't really be playing with this yet, but I like to. Oh, they are. Okay, they are split stereo. Okay, cool. Very nice. Now, that's just a mix with poking the guitar, the bass, and the drum straight in. It did nothing. There's no EQ. There's no anything on that at all yet. So, let's go in and add something. Let's add on your side. You guys can see it. Let's just play around and show you a little bit about how compression can tighten your bass up. Grab the bass, add a little bit of dynamics, and get this vintage compressor. I like this guy on the bass. Let's drag it over to your side. All right. Now this compressor is going to be very dependent on the input and the output knobs. They interact with each other really heavily. So the way this is going to work, let the bass run through it. And I want to turn up this input until the compressor starts to work. And then I'm going to start bringing down the output so it's coming out the same volume. Let's lower the master so you guys can hear me a little better. That's about what I want. I want input and output volume to be about the same. See, when I turn it off, bass is staying about the same. If it's tough for you guys to hear, let's solo it out. That's with the compressor, and that's without. See how the notes tend to jump around a lot more, and they're not as blended and stuck in the middle. When we put the compressor on, here's without and with. It tightens up those bass notes so they're all right there together in the middle, and we can bring it up in the mix, and it's not going to destroy the other instruments around it. So now we got just a little bit of mild compression going on in the bass. Let's bring up the guitar. Now this is both channels of the guitar, so they're going into a guitar group folder. I'll look at it on my side so I get the right one. Okay. Here's an EQ, and this is on the guitar track itself. So I'm going to unsolo everything. You should only really push EQs around while you have the whole mix going on. Try not to EQ your guitar while you're listening to just your guitar, because it's going to sound great in your head, and then when you put it in with the rest of the mix, it's either going to get lost underneath the bass and the drums, or it's going to overpower the vocals and the keyboard and really get in the way of things. So try to make sure you do your EQ on your guitar while the rest of your mix is playing. Now, doing that, we're going to make small moves and not make any moves just because. You know, we don't want to go into our guitar sound and cut all the lows and cut all the highs just because that's what you do with a guitar. We might not be doing it in this particular track. We're going to try to listen to what this track calls for. There are a lot of lows, so that standard move is going to work for us this time. I like to keep some roundness to them. So I won't use a real sharp cut like this 96. I think that's a lot. But if we get involved with this 24, that gives it a nice roll off. And I'll just come up until I wreck it. Right there, that's wrecked. And we'll pull back. There, that's got a nice low end. Now we can clean up that woofiness, that woof woof thing that it's doing by taking out these lower mids. And we're going to make bigger moves, wider moves on the lower mids than we are on the upper mids. Watch how this works. Hear that clean up right there? We'll turn that marker off. Listen. All that woof is back. And now when we turn that marker back on, it just takes out around that roughly, where are we? It's roughly about 200 hertz, somewhere in that. Don't get so hung up on numbers. It's not about numbers. It's about what your ear hears. Listen to what you hear too much of and try to get rid of that. You're not really trying to boost too much with your EQ. I'll show you how to boost in a minute. I'll show you why we boost. Let's keep going. Bottom half of the frequency range seems to be working pretty good. Now that little move right there, that's again a wide move, and it's in the lower mids to regular mid area. What this is doing is taking some of that edge off of the guitar. This is the stuff that's going to get in the way of the vocals. And you'll hear it as I pull this down. It kind of gets a little less harsh as I pull this down. But be careful with it. You don't want to get rid of too much of this because this is the character of the guitar itself. So let's listen to that one again. Right about there. I'm happy with that. It blends in the mix very well, but it still stands out and it leaves room for the vocals, and it kind of does what it does. Now I want to get rid of some of the really high annoying sounds, like when the pick hits the strings, or some digital artifacts that are left in the music. And they live up around this region. So this is what we're going to do to find them. They're not real easy to hear, so we're going to solo them out. We're going to take this and pull it all the way up to the top and make it as skinny as possible. And then we're going to sweep this across the top and see where it really gets ugly. Where it gets ugly, we'll pull those out. Here's how it works. Right there, those frequencies are particularly annoying. So let's drop them specifically out. We're not going to make a real wide cut, because I want to take those frequencies specifically out. Let's see what kind of job we did. Okay, I don't want to go too deep because I don't want to start removing the character of the guitar. There's more up here. Let's take another listen with this marker. See if we can find the same type of annoying frequencies. Right there, there's some particular nasties. So let's pull them down the same way. And I'll slowly pull them down as the track plays so we can hear that sweet spot. Here where it starts to degrade the guitar sound here. That's better. Okay, now we are going to make a boost move. Because we've done so much cutting up here, it's actually causing the frequencies to kind of slope off as they get to the top. So I'm going to make 8 a high shelf. I'm going to come back here and pull some of these frequencies back up a little bit. Just a little bit. All the good ones that we wanted to keep, I'm going to pull them up around the bad ones that we set down. So let me show you the on and off of what this is going to do. Here's without it. And with it. That's maybe a little too much. You hear how that just takes the brilliance of the guitar and brings it out and makes it stick over top of the track? Well, there you go. With a couple of really simple EQ moves, a DI'd amplifier, a little bit of compression on a bass, and some mixing, we've got what sounds like a very good track. There's no reverb, there's no effects. This is all dry, and that's how you should do all your mixes and put your reverbs and your effects and your delays on later. So from the beginning of a track, it sounds pretty tight already. Let's take a listen. All right, that's it. 5-minute quick how to start your track in your DAW. And thanks for hanging out with me on this project. I'm sure the client's going to be really pleased. I'm happy with how it's coming together, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks.